Welcome home. Yet another episode at Shakers in Milwaukee. Today we have the privilege of having birthday boy Al Godshaw with us. Al has been a friend of the house for many years. He's quite the legend in Milwaukee. He has represented the Pabst Theater Complex, the Turner Hall Complex, and a variety of other musical gigs for a period of time. Al, how you doing?
Great, nice to be here.
Good to have you. So it's your birthday. How do you feel about that?
I'm still kicking.
Finally past the 50-year mark. Good for you.
Oh, thanks for that compliment, buddy.
Again, if you don't mind, a little bourbon to set the tone here. Again,
Salud.
salute. You've seen so much in your time with the Turners.
Yeah, a lot of shows.
If you had a guess,
Well, I hit over 1,000 shows. Still going.
it's a lot of shows.
A lot of stuff, a lot of entertainment.
Favorite?
I really liked Jeff Beck. A band out of Denver, Devachnik. Great gypsy band. And a band out of Texas, Austin, Texas. They're called Beirut. Great band. So I see a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you do. So, is there a format in music that you prefer at this much time, or as far as the entertainment value goes, or?
I really the format. If I can listen to world music that we occasionally have, that's what I really enjoy. And anywhere's from there's a I forgot his name now. He's from Australia. He plays the didgeridoo. Very entertaining. And of course, all the other bands, indie bands that we have coming. And so we keep going, and we have a lot. We do have a lot of course, rentals, weddings, fundraisers for different organizations. So I hope to keep going when we get back soon.
So this is still part of the Cudahy Foundation.
Well, no.
We'll splinter it off.
Has been restructured.
Okay.
That's all restructured. I'm not privileged to know how that got restructured. It's called the Pabst Theater Group now.
Okay.
That's how it's been restructured.
So Gary Witt, Lindsay.
He is my boss. He's
Okay.
the executive director.
Okay.
Great boss to have over the years. It's been a privilege working there. So, yeah, and we continue. Hopefully, when
Our vacation is over. little COVID vacation.
You put it that way.
Well.
We're the first to close and last to open. So we're going to forge ahead here. When, of course, you got to have bands touring to do this.
Yeah.
We're going to try. We're starting with some what we call virtual shows.
Okay.
Just, to hopefully stay in business.
Sure.
And maintain our customer base. So, yeah, hopefully that will continue. Soon.
Well, what's your guess on soon? 2024.
You're a comedian. No, I hope to be back in August. I think in August we'll continue. It'll be okay. With some restructuring of how customers will come in and distancing. Hopefully that will continue. I'm looking at August. I don't really know. I don't know. It's a mystery. Now.
For all of us, no crystal
for
ball.
all of us.
Yeah.
Of course, this business right here, and if we can contain the disease, hopefully a vaccine, probably another year. I think we'll survive and get back. take some time and effort.
So Turner's got a a la carte seating, if you will, that you walk in and it's just general admission
Yeah.
for the most part. And
We've
you've got-
had some reserve
And
seating.
you've got 500
most
people
of the time, as you know,
milling together.
You've been there.
Right.
Most of the time, it's well, people like to be next to the stage
Sure.
and close to the bands.
Well, that's all going to change.
That I think may change. I think
Certainly.
we've had shows where you sit at cocktail tables. Of
Sure.
course.
I've been to that as well.
That might be the answer.
Okay.
For distancing.
Going to cut your capacity, though,
Capacity.
from 500 people to
Yeah, it will. It
To
will.
100 people
Remember-
if you're doing 6
remember,
feet.
You've been there when we were
Sure.
at capacity.
Sure.
And that's 987
Mm-hmm.
at capacity. So I don't think we're going to have to. We won't have it at capacity with that type of arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not, as another example, wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
That we've had very successful entertainment with wrestling. That cuts your amount of people that can be in the venue
Sure.
with the ring. I don't know how that's going to work.
So in this brave new world that we have coming forward, we're going to change everything. I can't imagine how difficult it is for you in a venue of your size to ticket people. For example, we do over 10,000 people per year just on our ghost tours here. And we tried very hard to move people into other dates and times. Then we just refunded a ton of money for them because that's what you have to do.
Yep.
Now, our 10,000 people in the course of a year makes us one of the busiest venues of our type, one of the largest tour companies in the city of Milwaukee,
Right.
but nothing compared to what you do or the PAPS does or Riverside does.
There's been an organization started and grounded by Gary, Mr. Witt, with entertainment venues from around the nation
Mm-hmm.
to start looking at different ways to survive
Mhm.
right now. Most of our shows have been postponed, but we're rescheduling them. But as you know, some of the bands just are not going to tour. They cancel. But
Sure.
many of the shows are just postponed until our talent buyers simply reschedule the shows, reschedule the tours. So that's probably I'm looking at that they'll be rescheduled. Many of the bands, some of them from overseas, of course. You have to work with that to find out if they're going to come back here to North America to complete their tours. So, yeah, that's what we're trying to do right now. Hopefully that'll happen. We'll be back. It'll be fine.
Excellent. And the other venues in your family as well?
Yes, yeah. Of course, the PAPS and the Riverside and the Collectivo.
Mhm.
All of those shows are going to, hopefully the ones that are postponed will be rescheduled. And again, we'll forge ahead when the bands start coming out.
Sure. So the Collectivo is a relatively recent acquisition for you, right?
Yeah, that started a few years ago now and been very successful. It's our smallest venue.
So a lot of indie programming there, or a lot of indie acts there?
Oh, sure. All
Okay.
kinds of it. We even had jazz was starting there. We had some real great jazz shows coming.
Isn't that the way it goes?
Kurt
Jazz
Elling,
jazz begins first,
yeah.
and then suddenly you have to make money and you monetize this, so
Yeah.
the jazz is gone,
We're
right?
trying to bring jazz back.
Sure.
Kurt Elling being one
Sure.
of them. And hopefully all those shows will get rescheduled.
Mhm.
By our talent buyers. So I work with a very, very good group of people, well connected, all over the United States.
The old cellar door days, or
Yeah, remember though? Yeah, Randy. Yeah.
Sure.
Cellar Doors, Rainbow Productions.
Mhm.
All started with
Yep.
Randy McElrath.
Mhm.
uh, on all from I believe it, on the Rusty Nail on Brady Street. That's where that all started, Rainbow Productions.
Sure, right up from Huff and Hannah's, as I recollect.
Yeah, sure. A lot of great bands.
Yeah.
Came through. That Randy was the breakthrough promoter here in Milwaukee, Cellar Door.
Sure, the back when Steve Sinacropi was around, he had his hands in things as well, and I'm sure he used Jam out of Chicago at some point.
Jam, Riverside Theater. He got into the Riverside Theater, Randy, and started it was called Stardate by that.
Sure.
Stardate, and in fact, I was one of the original members of the Stardate concert club. So that's I saw a lot of shows at the Riverside that he promoted until he again sold out and moved on to a larger company, out of I think Atlanta. That's where Randy went. So we move on here with they always said that they told my boss that there's no room for him here. He was told you'll never do it, and look what he accomplished. Look what he did.
I love those stories.
They told him. They thought he would. You'll never sell a lot of tickets. And now we're selling probably over a year, or close to a year, 1 million tickets. Sold out shows. Widespread panic. October, 3 shows, always sells out immediately. And all the other venues that we take chances on. A lot of bands. I work for a great organization. So,
you're a lucky man. And before that, you were a teacher forever.
Yeah, I worked 43 years in the Milwaukee Public Schools as a guidance counselor. Finished my career at Pulaski High School, then came back another 10 years, North Division High School, and then started with another co-worker of mine. We started something called the College Access Center. I worked for her, and then that's where I finished my career, where my mother got sick and I had to finish at 43 years. I would have continued. I didn't run out of gas at that point, but I would have continued had my mother not gotten sick. So, yeah. And then I had started volunteering at the Pabst Theater upon retirement, officially retired in June, 02 already. I volunteered as an usher at the Pabst Theater. Worked for a great mentor. A man mentored me, Tom Dubuque. Mentored me.
Remember Tom?
He was a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Good guy. And he was a dentist by trade. Mm-hmm. And then he started at 16 years old working in theaters, and all the way through college and in his dental school. And then he continued, was the house manager of the Pabst, the Palace Theater in Milwaukee. You remember that theater?
The old Palace, yeah.
Yeah, and he even ran Alpine Valley for a year or two.
Really?
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
Yes, he did. And I worked for him for quite a number of years. Became a paid employee at that point. And Tom was an avid traveler. We lost him. He died in a car crash in South Africa, traveling. And we lost him. And at that point, we were opening Turner. At that point, I was asked to go over to Turner to become the house manager there, and I've been there now since October of 07. And it's will become 13 years now, coming up in October. A long run.
Yes, it has been a very long run for you.
Long run.
But a very satisfying run as well.
I love it. Yeah, I loved it. I love coming to Shakers too.
Well,
when I can.
We've got our part to play somewhere, but cool.
Yeah.
So, what would you like to see for the future of Milwaukee, Al? You've seen so many sides of this. So, what do you think should take place here?
I think the future of this city is going to lie in the city, urban.
Okay.
Urban. You can see businesses moving in. The future of America, urban America. People living and working near the downtown area.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it happening in the city. I think urbanization. We've got a lot of growth downtown here, which has fueled a lot of our ticket sales.
Absolutely.
People living downtown came here because of our venues. All the venues, Rep, Next Act, Broadway Theater Center, all coming downtown, living near their entertainment areas, and working here.
And now you've got that 800-pound gorilla right across the street from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that has fueled that entire area.
Yep.
It fueled it. The plaza, the Deer Plaza, has fueled that area, and will continue to do that, working hand in hand with them. So yeah. And our building, of course, is a historical building. It will remain under a board of directors since 1882. I happen to be a member also of the Turners because I like their what they stand for.
Finest gymnast in the Midwest at one point came out of Turners.
At one point, the gymnastics in the basement. Now that downstairs gym is thriving. It's thriving with rock climbing, yoga. All kinds of classes are occurring in that gym right now. In the gym, we have renovated the ballroom. Still got a ways to go, as you know. There's still money to be raised.
Sure.
To restore. Now, some people will like to coming to the ballroom like that look. They like that kind of the old grungy look. Others say, well, restore it to its glory. That's going to take some money. We've had some great benefactors over the years. A lot
of money, yes.
Yeah, we've had some great benefactors over the years at Turner. Gary Bruno, David Eli have been great. The late Gary Bruno was a big benefactor to bring it back.
For much of Milwaukee, yes.
Trust. Turner Trust.
Unfortunately, those philanthropists, that old money that dies, and it doesn't continue on.
It doesn't continue.
No.
The old money. There's not too many left anymore.
Nope.
Michael Cuddihy is still around. Remember how Michael Cuddihy bought the Pabst for $1? They were going to tear it down. But for the city, and Michael was wise enough to bring Gary from Chicago.
Big pockets, big balls. He got the deal done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brought Gary here, and with that vision, that's where we're at right now. Wonderful organization. So and we continue with this urbanization of this city.
We do, and you've got a great relationship with your alderperson, Bob Bauman.
We see each other frequently and have discussions. Especially with the. I'm a big proponent of the streetcar. To get things done, that's going to take some time and money. I envision that to connect the city to Bronzeville next.
Sure.
Going down Old 3rd Street, Old 3rd Street to Martin Luther King, all the way, and development on each side of the tracks.
Wouldn't that be something?
That's what I'm hoping for.
Wouldn't that be something?
I'm looking at it right here in front of your building, either down 1st or 2nd Street, all the way to the airport. They've got it mapped out.
They do.
And I think that would be wonderful for this whole Walker's Point area, connecting the city to the downtown area, which is I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to all of this. Freshwater Way, it's a big company coming in there. They're going to bring a lot of employees down that Freshwater Way there. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Urbanization.
What about gentrification?
Well, now that's a good question. and that is why the why that the streetcar, as we're talking about that now. They were trying to talk about that because there's going to be poor people pushed out on each side of the tracks. That's the downside. And there's been some talk of stabilizing that population with subsidies, income, to try to keep them there.
Which means, or it sounds to me, that means that taxes have to go up.
Taxes. And it has, as you noticed, I think you have, the last assessments.
I've heard.
Just north of the Forum, that's the highest area of the city in percentage of increases. That's what it's doing. That's what it's doing.
So is the answer more New York investment coming into?
Outside investment?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's a good question. You've got your local developers coming in here doing a lot of good work, redeveloping older buildings and getting historical tax credits,
Certainly.
Preservation tax credits.
Jim Whitman's group being part of that,
Yes.
absolutely.
We just got word about a month ago now that I was talking about this old school called the McKinley School.
Yep.
On 17th and the Lee, laying vacant for years and years, city owned, and now a company is coming in and got the tax credits that enables them to renovate the building to apartments. A portion of those apartments then would be for low-income residents in this city, in addition to some other plans on that site for condos. A big boost for the west side.
It is, and necessary.
In Bob Bauman's area.
But again, more subsidy taking place to underwrite that project, right?
Yes.
So overall, taxes go up yet again.
That's the idea. You renovate the building, low income, and then in a few years, the taxes will go up.
Sure.
And that repays the tax credits that
Sure.
were given to them, like a TIF, tax incremental financing districts.
Easily half the development around us, and there is a tremendous amount, is from Chicago, is from New York, is from Philly, a little bit of Pittsburgh as well, and then a few local things too,
Yes.
juxtaposed in here. But I think it's a good thing actually to have the external sources coming in here,
Well,
because they've got different
Yes.
thoughts, ideas, and concepts as well as the money, and that often is the ability to get something done.
yeah. Well, I look forward to that. Anything that's going to help the city and downtown area. And I look forward to anything like that, especially the bringing in money to rehab older buildings rather than tearing them down. That's what can be done and should be done to save the city and the housing stock, as you know.
Well, we danced around your former career in education, and though you weren't a frontline teacher, you certainly, as a guidance counselor, were exposed every day to the disciplines and the modalities that were there. So I would have to suggest that one of the biggest issues facing us as a people and as a urban area is that we have to do something to improve our educational standards and the way that those are enforced or upheld.
Well, yes.
So the educational standards in Milwaukee, I think, have to get,
Well, if you've been reading the journal, guest columnist Alan Borsick has been really writing a lot about pounding away at the achievement levels, especially MPS, where we're down to 75,000 now. We once were over 100,000. Over 25,000 students have left the district, be it for choice schools, charter schools. They've left and leaving us with a challenge, with a large population of special needs children, but also a large population of kids that need more enlightenment, as they say, in learning, especially reading.
Is that interaction? Is that interaction, let's say, at home? Is that more interaction with the class size? What is that?
As you move to a poorer population,
Sure.
and you have that well-researched poverty
Mm-hmm.
and achievement levels
Mm-hmm.
go hand in hand with the achievement levels go down. They go down. You can't have a population of seniors, 12th graders, walking across the stage reading on a third grade reading level, third and fourth grade reading level.
I agree. Now, whose responsibility is that?
Well, I have ideas about that.
Okay.
25, 30 years ago, we had proficiency examinations. We did. And they had to pass their reading proficiency, math
Or you
proficiency,
take the grade over. Absolutely.
or you stay on
Right.
board.
Right.
You know, I cannot see, just for the sake of increasing your graduation levels,
No child left behind.
No child left behind. But I can't see that having an illiterate group of people
Mm-hmm.
being just given diplomas for the sake of giving
Mhm.
them diplomas. It just doesn't have to be that way.
Mhm.
I believe it's New York State has special tests that they have to take statewide. Texas, Florida. I believe we have to. We can do that. You know, they can. The kids will rise to what's expected of them. But we don't expect anything right now.
I don't think we're teaching much anymore today.
We've increased the graduation requirements to 3 years of math, 2 years of foreign language. We've done that, but it doesn't seem to translate to achievement. When we take the NAEP,
Mhm.
which is a national urban test that we participate with in Milwaukee, we're not doing well at all.
Mhm.
Now, if you would require them, when I was still active at that point when I came back to North Division High School for another 10 years after officially retiring, I was invited back by a great principal of Milwaukee Public Schools, Janie Hatton, her name was, expected more of the kids and let me and another English teacher go ahead and require them to write. They had to write a research paper. We had that in the district, that they had to write a research paper. That was all dropped for some reason. I never could understand that. Why?
Well,
I don't understand that.
several superintendents of schools ago, we had those standards,
Yeah.
and then with each one, it seems that we have lost a bit
Each one.
along the entire process.
Yeah. It's big city, urban.
I had a
Superintendents
conversation with someone from the DNC sometime last, let's say, summer.
Yeah.
And he's an attorney as well, and he had asked me what I thought some of the biggest problems were facing Milwaukee, and I said, first and foremost is education. He slams down his fist and says, absolutely not. He said, that is not the problem. I'm tired of hearing that. You're talking about white man's education. I said, no, as a matter of fact, I'm not. I'm talking about the fundamentals. It doesn't matter what race you are, what sex you are.
No.
You must learn how to read, how to write,
Read
how
and
to do
write.
simple mathematics, and
Simple
how to
math.
comport
Yeah,
yourself
yeah.
and get along with other people.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
elect to go further with that, that's wonderful.
have to
But
preach
if
to the
not,
choir on that
you
one
have
for
to
me.
have have to have this essential
I,
criteria.
And at the same time, not everybody belongs in a four-year college.
That's correct.
I worked with a former school board member.
Hmm?
He's back in Milwaukee. He's not well right now. His name is John Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
John and I brought in some money to Pulaski specifically for my seniors. It was called Trade Quest, we named it, specifically to send them free of charge. After they got grant money, we sent them to MATC. They could select any family supporting job they wanted, and we paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't very expensive, but he had a joint venture capitalist who believed in technical education.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that for 2 years, and after I retired, I followed the kids with me all the way through. We met at the Gettleman, the old Gettleman Mansion
Sure.
on Highland Avenue.
Sure.
That's where we met to have the kids come in and bring their report cards and register. Had a great MATC staff member financial aid staff member would work with me with these kids to get them through, and they did, and they did. As long as they graduated, I didn't care what the GPA was. They went to MATC. If they needed some basic skills coming out of Pulaski, most of them did not. Most of them did not. Then we got them over the summer before they started back into basic skills. But yeah, I'm a great proponent of literacy and technical education in the United States.
So how would we get something like that into place for the greater Milwaukee public school system?
Well, I don't want to criticize too much, but I think it's a vision of staff members in your building. We also had we had a high school here in Milwaukee that I think didn't go the direction that it should have gone. Bradley Tech. I think it was a big failure. Big failure.
Huge amount of money spent on that.
And it was big. They had a separate board in that building, and it didn't go in that direction at all. And it still isn't. It still isn't.
So money by itself is not the answer, obviously.
No, I think you just got to care about the students, stay on them. My kids at Pulaski, my seniors, they kind of disliked me for a long time during their senior year, because if they didn't do what especially coming to school, I'd be on the phone. And then later, after they graduated and went on, they thanked me. But I've got kids from Pulaski that went on to doctors, plumbers, pharmacists, tattoo artists, plumbers. I mean, all kinds of different areas.
Sure.
Barbers, cosmetologists, computer specialists, that they went into all kinds of computer programs at MATC that we paid for. All successful. I
would suggest that it's not just poverty that's an issue here, because if you look at things during the Depression, during World War II, post-World War II, there was not a lot of money going around. We're coming out of this desperate time, and yet people were able to get themselves together to instill something in their children, and the expectations of the system itself were there, that you are here to learn. That's not today.
I had great faculty at Pulaski.
Sure.
Tremendous faculty. Talented teachers all around, that helped these kids.
Yep.
And we weren't really known to be like a King, a Rufus King,
sure,
or a Reagan. We weren't known for that. We were blue collar school.
Yep.
But we produced a lot of wonderful kids coming out of there, and a lot of poverty, some poverty, but just got to believe in them.
I agree. They're open,
and
and they're looking for support.
You believe in them.
Absolutely.
You believe in them. That's the key, I believe, for change. I'm as you say, over the hill now in education circles, but I do have conversations maybe every 2 years with Alan Borsick, and we sit and talk. And he's one frustrated reporter right now, pretty frustrated guy with the achievement levels going on in this city. So that's what's left in our public schools. Those are the most challenging group of individuals that you got to work with and help them to achieve. Help them. You can look at other groups, segments of the population of this city, Southside being one of them. Building schools. You can see one opening in the fall. Great vision, Crystal Ray. They're opening up on about 9th and National, where the old pick and save was. Brand new high school.
Okay.
The other gentleman from Waukesha, the industrialist, opened up a high school on the south side, brand new high school. St. Anthony group, another group of Jesuit buildings, educating. UCC, another group of great visionary people, opening up building. They just opened up last year, named after a boxer, Israel Acosta. They named a middle school after him. But they are working with an impoverished group of kids.
You hit upon something really interesting there, because Gary Grunow used to be a believer in the system, and he supported many causes. And I look at the number of projects taking place, and they can't find enough skilled people to work on these projects for construction. So I would think that there would be a significant onus upon some of these larger Milwaukee-based developers to begin a foundation, a fund, or something to specifically help education to move forward.
I would hope that they would do that. I always had a vision. Well, I wanted to start my own high school called Tradequist High School. A woman with Amy Wallman, was her name, and a great writer too. We were going to start that high school, and it never got off the ground for some politics, because of politics. And I would have done that. I would have continued TradeQuest, got them into the trades. It's difficult, I got to tell you. In many instances, it's this good old boys mentality to get minorities into the trade unions.
In other cities, I'm aware that the common council, alder people, whatever they might be in those instances, will get together with major developers and say, we understand that you want to develop something on this parcel right here. We really need this to work over here, and that means that we have to have an educated class of people that we're going to bring forward. If you really want to get this, there's kind of a quid pro quo with that as well. And I don't see that taking place.
Many
maybe Barrett could redeem himself by twisting some arms there.
Well, I think they had some, when they put up the forum, there were some requirements.
Well, that's a little bit different. You've got a big monkey now in New York that says, I got billions of dollars to play with if we do something, right? And that's a little bit different than just the local guys and saying, this is only like a $50 million project, a $100 million project. In order for you to get that, we really need this to be put together, and we need it to be sourced and to be
get
fed.
Some apprentices in there.
Why not?
Into the trades, where in years past they couldn't. They were closed.
Right.
They were absolutely closed. These trade unions. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what has to be.
It's done. A different day. Everything changes. Yeah. You have to be willing to change or die, right?
Yes. But I have faith. I have faith in my city. Mm-hmm. The city of Milwaukee. Was born and raised here. Educated here. I never left. Went to college here. I love my city, but I have great visions for the downtown and urban area of the city of Milwaukee, because it's a great urban area to live in.
On a beautiful lake. We have a lake that other people don't have, most people don't have access to. Water is key for the future.
Water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
And water. Yeah. Mexico, the lake is drying up now near Guadalajara. Lake Chapala, drying up. We have a great lake here. That's our resource here.
It's the best resource.
Yeah. That's a great place to live.
But it means appropriate stewardship as well for that great resource.
Yeah, to maintain it, not give it away.
Mm-hmm.
Water tables.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful with the water basin. Mm-hmm. But use it wisely, and I think this city will thrive.
I agree. Al, it's been great having you by today.
Well, and certainly wonderful seeing you.
Thank you for finding the time to stop by, especially on your birthday, and perhaps another day. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks so much, buddy.
Cheers.